Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be tackling something a little different, and that's why traditional holidays can be so tough for people with autism.
Okay.
We've got this blog post from Cheap ABA. It's called The Rituals of Rituals: Why Autistics Hate Traditional Holidays. And I think it'll give us a lot to think about today.
Yeah, I think it's a really important topic. We often think of the holidays as just joyous and full of celebration,
Yeah.
but for a lot of autistic people, it's not that simple.
It's not that simple. Yeah. And just to make sure we're all starting on the same page, when we say neurodivergent, we're talking about people whose brains work differently from what's considered typical. And autism is one example of neurodiversity.
Exactly.
Now, this blog post really caught my eye with this phrase, the tyranny of tradition. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a really powerful way to describe how holidays often come with all these unwritten, but really powerful rules and expectations. It's like everyone's expected to follow this invisible script.
Yeah.
Wear specific clothes, eat certain foods, and act in very particular ways. And for a lot of autistic people, that constant pressure to conform can be incredibly overwhelming.
It's like there's this unspoken social code that we're all supposed to just know.
Yeah.
But for someone who processes social cues differently, even figuring out that code can be a real struggle.
Exactly. And, on top of that, think about how important routine and predictability are for so many autistic people. Their brains are wired to seek out that order and consistency. So when the holidays come along and disrupt those carefully crafted routines, all those unexpected guests, changes in schedule, and sensory overload, it can be a recipe for anxiety and discomfort.
It's like, imagine you're really focused on building this intricate Lego masterpiece, and then suddenly someone comes along and just throws all the pieces back in the box. I think you'd be pretty frustrated, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No, magnify that feeling exponentially, and you start to get a sense of what some autistic folks might experience during the holidays.
I love that analogy, Dana. It really highlights why understanding the neurological aspect of this is so crucial. For a lot of autistic people, executive function, that's the brain's ability to plan, think flexibly, and manage transitions.
Yeah.
It just works differently. So those sudden changes that holidays bring can be incredibly difficult to navigate.
So we're starting to see how these seemingly joyful holiday traditions can actually be quite challenging for autistic people. It's all about perspective, right?
Absolutely.
And that leads me to wonder, what can we as friends, families, or just more aware individuals do to make the holiday experience more inclusive and less stressful for autistic people? I'm really eager to explore that side of things.
Well, I think a key part of that is understanding and embracing the power of choice.
Okay, so offering choices and letting autistic people have more control over their holiday experience. Tell me more about that.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that what might be a delightful tradition for some could be a source of sensory overload or anxiety for others. And instead of forcing everyone into a one-size-fits-all celebration, we can start to think, how can we create a more flexible and accommodating environment?
So instead of assuming everyone loves a packed house full of relatives, we might ask, hey, would you prefer a smaller gathering or some quiet time alone? Or instead of insisting on those matching holiday pajamas,
No.
we offer options for comfortable clothing. Is that what you're getting at?
You get it? It's all about making space for individual needs and preferences, especially when it comes to sensory sensitivities. Maybe someone needs a break from the loud music or the bright lights. Maybe they have specific food preferences or rituals that help them feel grounded. Instead of viewing these needs as inconvenient, we try to incorporate them into the celebration.
So it sounds like we're shifting the focus from this is how we've always done it to how can we make this work for everyone? It's about honoring individual differences, isn't it?
Exactly. And, this isn't just about making things easier for autistic people. When we create a more inclusive and accommodating environment, it benefits everyone. It fosters empathy, understanding, and respect.
This reminds me of something I read about how important routine is for autistic people. And I think it ties in beautifully with what we've been discussing about choice and flexibility. Would you mind diving a bit deeper into that connection for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As we touched on earlier, routine is really vital for many autistic people because it provides that sense of predictability and control in a world that can often feel overwhelming. And then think about the holidays,
Yeah.
a time when routines are often totally disrupted.
Right. All those changes in schedule, unfamiliar faces, unexpected noises. It's a lot to handle, even for someone who doesn't rely heavily on routine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for someone with autism, those disruptions can be magnified tenfold. That's why incorporating those elements of choice and flexibility becomes even more important during the holidays. It's about giving autistic people the tools to manage those disruptions and navigate the festivities in a way that feels safe and comfortable for them.
So it's not just about accommodating different needs, it's about empowering autistic people to actively shape their holiday experience. It's about collaboration and mutual respect rather than imposing a predetermined way of celebrating.
You nailed it. And, the beauty of this approach is that it opens up a world of possibilities. It allows us to reimagine what holidays can look and feel like, moving beyond those rigid traditions and creating something that's truly meaningful and inclusive.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the challenges, the importance of routine, and the power of choice. But what about those situations where maybe a specific tradition is really important to the family? How do we balance respecting individual needs with upholding those cherished rituals?
That's a great question, and it's one that a lot of families grapple with. I think the key here is communication. Having those open and honest conversations. It's about having those sometimes difficult conversations,
Hmm.
but always important discussions with your autistic loved ones about what parts of the holidays they find most challenging, which traditions they actually enjoy.
So understanding their perspective and finding ways to compromise or adapt. Maybe instead of that huge family dinner, you have a smaller gathering. Or you offer the option to join virtually. Or you adjust the timing of events to better suit sensory needs. It's about being flexible, right?
Absolutely. It's not about just throwing tradition out the window.
Hmm.
It's about finding those creative solutions that honor both individual needs and family values.
I think sometimes we get so caught up in doing things the way they've always been done that we forget to ask, is this actually working for everyone? Maybe it's time to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. And sometimes even those small adjustments can make a world of difference. Think about something as simple as creating a quiet, sensory-friendly space where someone can take a break from the hustle and bustle of the festivities. Or maybe it's offering alternative activities for those who might not enjoy the traditional games or entertainment.
Those are such practical and thoughtful ideas. It's amazing how just a little bit of awareness and effort can go a long way in making the holidays more enjoyable for everyone. This conversation is making me rethink my approach to the holidays.
I'm glad to hear that. It's all about shifting our mindset from this place of rigid expectations to a place of empathy and understanding. And what I think is so fascinating about this topic is that it goes beyond autism. There are so many people who, for different reasons, might find traditional holiday celebrations overwhelming or stressful.
That's true. It could be someone with social anxiety, someone with sensory processing differences, or even just someone who prefers a quieter, more intimate celebration.
Exactly. And this is where I think the concept of choice becomes so powerful. By giving everyone that autonomy to choose how they want to participate. Or even if they want to participate at all, we create this much more welcoming and inclusive environment for everyone.
I love that. It's about moving away from this idea of a one-size-fits-all holiday and embracing the beauty of individual differences, recognizing that there's no right or wrong way to celebrate as long as we're being respectful and considerate of each other's needs.
Exactly. And I think it's also important to remember that this isn't just about making things easier for certain individuals. It's about creating a more joyful and meaningful experience for everyone involved.
Absolutely. When we prioritize connection, understanding, and flexibility, the holidays become less about checking off those boxes on a to-do list and more about genuinely connecting with the people we care about. That's what truly matters.
Without a doubt. And remember, even those small changes can have a ripple effect. Maybe it's just starting a conversation with your family about how to make the holidays more inclusive. Or maybe it's just being more mindful of your own language and actions, being open to different perspectives, and offering support to those who might be struggling.
As we've been talking about this, I've been thinking about how even the way we talk about autism can make a difference. I've noticed that you've been using the phrase autistic people instead of people with autism. Is there a reason for that?
Oh, that's a great observation. And you're right, I do intentionally use autistic people because it's considered to be more respectful and empowering. It emphasizes that autism is a fundamental part of who a person is rather than something they have.
That makes so much sense, recognizing that it's a part of someone's identity,
Oh.
not something that defines them entirely or something that needs to be fixed.
Exactly. And I think that shift in language reflects a broader shift in our understanding and acceptance of neurodiversity. It's about celebrating those differences rather than
Mm.
trying to erase them.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, neurodiversity included. So we've talked a lot about the challenges and the need for greater understanding. But what are some practical things our listeners can do to make a difference? What advice would you give to someone who wants to create a more inclusive holiday experience for the autistic people in their lives?
That's an excellent question, and I'm happy to offer some suggestions. First and foremost, I'd say approach it with genuine curiosity and a willingness to listen, talk to your autistic loved ones about their needs and preferences. Find out what aspects of traditional holidays they find most challenging and which ones they truly enjoy.
So, open communication is key, really taking the time to understand their individual experiences. It makes me think about how, even within the autistic community, there's so much diversity. What one person finds overwhelming might be totally fine for another.
Absolutely. Autism is a spectrum, and everyone experiences it differently. That's why those personalized conversations are so important. It's about moving away from those assumptions and generalizations and really tuning in to what each person needs to feel comfortable and supported.
And once you have that understanding, then you can start brainstorming together, right? Finding ways to adapt traditions, create new rituals, or even just make small adjustments that can have a big impact.
Exactly. It's about collaboration and compromise. Maybe instead of a big bustling holiday party, you opt for a smaller gathering or create a quiet space where someone can retreat if they need a break from all the simulation. Or maybe you adjust the timing of certain events to better suit sensory needs.
I imagine even something as simple as giving someone a heads up about what to expect can make a difference. Like, hey, there might be a lot of people at grandma's house and it can get pretty loud. That way someone can mentally prepare or bring noise-canceling headphones if they need to.
That's such a great point. It's all about anticipating those potential challenges and proactively finding solutions together. And remember, it's okay to break from tradition if something isn't working. You don't have to do everything exactly the way it's always been done.
Right. It's about being flexible and adaptable. So maybe instead of forcing everyone to participate in a certain activity, you offer alternatives. Or you incorporate some sensory-friendly elements into the celebration, like dimming the lights or choosing music that's not too jarring.
Exactly. It's about getting creative and thinking outside the box. And remember, it's okay to ask for help. There's so many great resources available online and within the autistic community. Don't be afraid to reach out and learn from others who have navigated similar situations.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about how to approach the holidays and really life in general with a more inclusive and empathetic mindset. It's about shifting our focus from what's normal to what's respectful and understanding.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's about creating a world where everyone feels valued, included, and celebrated for who they are. And that's something worth striving for, not just during the holidays, but every day.
Absolutely. Well, it's been such a pleasure diving into this topic with you. As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. What if we viewed holidays not as this time to conform to all these rigid expectations, but as an opportunity to celebrate our unique differences and create those meaningful connections with the people we care about? It's about embracing the beautiful tapestry of humanity and finding joy in our shared experiences, even if those experiences look a little different for each of us.
That's beautifully said, and it's something I wholeheartedly agree with. It's about creating a world where everyone feels that sense of belonging and acceptance.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you'll carry these insights with you as you navigate the holiday season and beyond.
And from both of us, happy holidays to all.